All right, good afternoon, councillors, staff, ladies and gentlemen at the back, and a big welcome to our Youth of the Month for December, which we haven't had a Youth of the Month for some time, so welcome Bo McKenzie and family, I guess, and I can see his principal there, and so welcome everybody to our December meeting. Just a general wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and a safe and a very safe festive season. So our last meeting for the year, let's get on with it. Please be advised that this council meeting is being recorded. By speaking at this meeting, you will agree to being recorded. Please ensure that if and when you speak, you are respectful to others and use appropriate language at all times. Cabonne Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of this meeting. The recording of this meeting will be made publicly available on Council's website. All right, I'll move on to the first item, which is application for leave of absence. I have one from Councillor Walker. Could I have a mover, please?
Moved.
Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Weaver. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? That is carried. Item 2 is declarations of interest. Could I have a mover, please?
Move it.
Moved by Councillor Durkin, seconded by Councillor Trevors. I saw you first. Anything to declare?
Nothing.
All right, I'll put that. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? That is carried. Item 3 is declarations of political donation. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Deputy Jones, seconded by Councillor Davison. Anything to declare? Well, I'll put that then. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Now, young Bo, come forward, please. Our Youth of the Month. Welcome. Now I get to talk about you now. You get to stand here and listen. Bo is currently in Year 9 at the Oval Central School. Bo is a quiet achiever who takes charge of his individual learning journey and is self-motivated to achieve his personal best at all times. Bo is a talented sportsman with a passion for rugby union. He was part of the Tri-Line Central West rugby team and was well on his way to becoming a team member until COVID-19 stalled trials. Bo was also part of the Central West Rugby touring squad of New Zealand. Bo regularly represents Yeovil Central School as part of the show team in both 2019 and 2020. He embraces the opportunity to showcase the school goats and poultry. Bo is an outstanding role model for his peers and younger students. His quiet demeanour and respectful interaction with all members of the school community is highly valued. So, on behalf of the Cabonne Council, I would like to congratulate you on your achievements and present you with the Youth of the Month of December. So well done. Like to say that you can? No? Well done. All right, moving on. Item 4 is the mayoral minute. I have tabled my report. Does anybody else have anything for the mayoral minute? Councillor Davis.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Just one thing. I attended the Mining Association, or the council, the Association of Mining Councils meeting in Blaney last month on the 27th. It was a good meeting. There was a lot of things achieved. Heather was there with us, and she was guiding the Cabonne team, and it was a good meeting. Lots of things came out of it. There were talks from various people regarding projects, the PhD project that we have going, looking at ways that councils may be able to react to mines once they close down is on the way. And they're trying to market the group to other councils who aren't in the association. So it was a good meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else for the mayor a minute? Anybody? No? No? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? That's carried. Item 5 is Committee of the Whole. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor Jones, seconded by Councillor Travers. Does anybody have anything for the Committee of the Whole? All good? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 6 is grouping of reports, and we see that we've got items 7 through to 9. I'll just bring you to your attention that number 7 hasn't been headed, but it is the minutes from the previous meeting, which is in the attachments. So it just hasn't been headed, that's all. So could I have a mover on that, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Weaver. If everybody's happy with that, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. So moving on now to item 10, which is the BCO Alliance Agreement. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Davison, seconded by Councillor Newsom. Any discussion at all on that? Everybody's happy? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 11 is the 2019/2020 annual report. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Durkin, seconded by Councillor Weaver. Any discussion at all?
Just a comment, Mr. Mayor. I think it's a very well put together report. The people who put it together should be congratulated.
Yep, well said. Agree. Anything else? Nope. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 12 is Building Better Regions Fund, Round 5. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor Jones, seconded by Councillor Nash. Any discussion at all on that? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 13 is the Events Assistance Program, and I'll just bring your attention, if you scroll down to page 15, which is the one over from the heading page, and it says underneath the table there, you've got the number 1 Orange Wine Festival, Orange Regional Vineyards Association. That should read Orange Food Week. It's just an error there. So that heading should read Orange Food Week, not Orange Wine Festival. So could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Batten, seconded by Councillor Newsom. Any discussion at all on that?
Mayor, just to comment on this, we've noticed that there's a clause in this one that says that Cabonne Council will fund a flagship event for a maximum of 3 years. This is one of the major events that we've got in our region, this and Wine Week. And I think that we probably should be changing that guideline so that is excluded in the case of those 2 events or other events that we think might be, for instance, the Balloon Festival, etc., that we may look at those major events and take them out.
Yeah, General Manager was going to respond to that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, Council, that's exactly what we're doing. The Tourism Events Coordinator is working on coming up with we've already got a sponsorship policy, and we've got to transition some of those longer running events over into that ilk. That way we can more realistically and transparently fund them in the manner that they're meant to be. They're not seed funding to get something established, it's actually just supporting, and then have the required, I suppose, agreement that in that sponsorship what Cabonne expects in regards to recognition in marketing and those sorts of things. So watch this space, it is developing.
Anything further? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 14 is request for donations equivalent to rent at 41 Nanama Street, Eugowra. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Deputy Jones, seconded by Councillor Weaver. Any discussion at all on that? Yep.
Speak briefly on this, Mr Mayor, just to provide council some background and some information. So basically, Eugowra Preschool, like many of our preschools across the Shire, is in need of expanding. Recently, and I thank the Deputy General Manager of Infrastructure for his work on this. It hasn't been an easy process, but recently we moved at this council to allow them to expand in the current facility they've got to take over the second half of the building. But as part of that and under their agreement, we had to provide a commercial rent rate. But because this is a community facility and a community children's centre, this is just making it consistent with what we've done in previous, for example, with Kewdale Preschool when they expanded, etc. So it's great to see that our communities are all thriving and we've got the next generation of Cabonne residents coming through, and I think this is great. And again, I'd just like to thank the Deputy General Manager and the General Manager who have both been out and worked with the preschool to make this happen. It's been a long process, but great to see it's all but finished. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 15 is Kewdale Hall Licence Agreement. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Travis, seconded by Councillor Durkin. Any discussion at all? No?
I'd just like to say, Mr Mayor, I'm really pleased to see the halls being used for this, because it's it's making it really worthwhile having, isn't it?
Thank you.
Mr Mayor, a question to probably the Deputy General Manager of Infrastructure. The cost of the fencing, I assume that, I think we've been briefed on this previously, but I assume that we're actually covering the cost to fence that land off from the hall so that the preschool can use it?
For you, Mr Mayor, the Council hasn't agreed to undertake any fencing. That wasn't a part of the request received from the preschool to undertake that. If that is a further request down the track, I can bring that to Council.
Thank you. Yep.
Mr Mayor, just a point of clarification to Councillor Nash. The hall itself won't be utilised under this request. It's a section of grassed area at the rear of the hall. Okay.
Yeah, Councillor Jones.
Mr Mayor, just again, this is another one that's been quite some time in the proceedings, or nearly 12 months. But again, thanks to the Deputy General Manager. Basically, there is some space behind the hall that will now be used following the expansion of the childcare centre at Kewdale, which is now full to the brim. That took quite a bit of space into their playground. This will allow them to now come up with a bit of a plan to look at their playground, give them a bit more space, some storage room, and some more space for the kids to play. So, what was land that was not necessarily being used to its full potential, if this passes today, will see that land used. And of course, it followed extensive consultation with the community, and it still allows those groups that do use the hall to be able to access the rear of the hall. So it's a win-win for all out there, I feel. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 16 is request for sealing of Kangaroo Road, Mullion Creek. Could I have a mover, please?
Move that.
Moved by Councillor Durkin, seconded by Councillor Davison. Any discussion at all on that?
Mr Mayor, if I might just make a comment, this road's been the subject of a lot of phone calls that I've fielded over the years, And it's changed, the use has changed quite radically in the last 5 or 8 years, and the number of cars going on it is now quite large compared to what it was when I first came onto council. And having driven it only in the last couple of weeks, it certainly does need a lot of work done to it. And I think that the engineering department have done a good job in this report. There is, however, one question that I'd like to ask, and that's the legality of it. Where we are saying in one part of this thing, I just can't quite find it right at the moment, but it says something about whilst acknowledging the road safety concerns. Where does that leave us?
Through you, Mr Mayor, the reference is with regards to the road safety audit that was undertaken, and the suggestion in that road safety audit that the road should be widened to accommodate more safety in the case of a vehicle coming to grief on the road. The legalities under the Civil Liability Act is that council is obliged to undertake the work only within the resources that it can provide on a year-to-year basis. The fact is there's a lot of roads in councils like Goulburn area which aren't of a sufficient width themselves, and they are a higher priority road with regards to the classification, so the use of those roads as be double routes, as bus routes, or just the sheer volume of roads. So legally, council is covered under the Civil Liability Act.
Thank you very much. Or any further discussion on that at all? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Aye. Against? That's carried. Item 17's questions for next meeting. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Nash. Does anybody have any questions for next meeting?
I have one, Mr Mayor, regarding...
Microphone.
Sorry. Regarding the Escort Way, roughly between the monument or the turn-off to Parks Manildra, just on the western side of Kewdale, is the last parking spot between there for semi-trailers or trucks between there and Orange. And I'd like to have a question for the next meeting or the meeting after next, for someone to have a look at that. There have been a number of people around the Bore-and-Orr area who are a bit worried about trucks not being able to get off the road, not being able to pull up and check their loads or whatever, or even pull up and have a sleep along that section of road. And it is a fairly slow section of road. You've got a few hills in the road coming up, and I'd just like a brief report on it, Mr Mayor, if I could, from the engineering department.
Thank you. Yep, that's taken on board.
And the second one, Mr Mayor, which is, I'm not to be guard anybody, but I've noticed that in the last 12 or 18 months, I suppose, 18 months or more, we're putting on a lot more consultants to do various things. And I'm not saying we shouldn't, but I'm just worrying about, with the view of keeping an eye on the money, what sort of costs we're up for the total amount of money we so far spent on the consultancy angle. Could we have a little look at that and just give us a brief report? I don't know what a detailed report, but something that can just give us a price of how much the consultants are costing us.
Through you, Mr Mayor, you'll be updated in the normal quarterly budget review about where we spend, and that's obviously in our annual report equally, the cost. I suppose I would just remind Council that we just filled 35 vacancies in Council this last year. The organisation is down on specialist services, and we've been informing Council that all the way. So if we have only got two qualified engineers on the books, so all this work has to be done by people with the appropriate acumen. So yes, I do expect us to have reasonably high consultant costs, and probably go ongoing for another year or two, because we've got to build that capacity. But more than happy to transparently, as we are, letting you know. And I think councillors quite often ask, are we going to deliver the capital? Sometimes we need the assistance of consultants to ensure we do it in the right way. But they don't come cheap. They're, obviously, we do go out to competitive processes, but unfortunately it's the price of doing business properly. But more than happy to update you in the quarterly budget review if that's okay, Councillor.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, thank you, Mr General Manager. I'm not having a shot at anybody. I just think that we just need to just keep a bit of an eye on what our costings are.
Anybody else questions for next meeting?
I'd just like to get a report, someone to go and see like the flour mill at Manilda. We had that fire scare, and it's been brought to my attention that people think we should have our own fire and rescue unit stationed in town, and the exclusion area was not really where they were put. The exclusion area is a lot further. We really need to get on top of it, because if something goes wrong in Manilda, it's just going to go sky high. And a lot of people would like to see, there was just an incident where the fellow that worked there knew more than what the fire and rescue did, and they had to get him back in and things like that. So they really need to have their own, I think. Can we just get a check on that, and who is in charge of the traffic when all this harvest is on too, because it's been pretty haphazard. Thank you.
Through you, Mr Mayor, might be appropriate, and probably the Deputy General Manager Infrastructure could raise it at the LEMC, the Local Emergency Management Committee. That'd be really the body that would have the right people to either approach the mill and or have some ideas about that. And I'll take the traffic on notice, and the DGMI may be able to look into that. But obviously we have an amount of responsibility around traffic control. But equally so does the police, and so does sometimes the obviously the people who are the businesses or entities themselves.
Any further questions for next meeting? Councillor Jones.
Mr Mayor, through you, if the Deputy General Manager of Infrastructure could please come back sort of March next year with a report on options for the management of the Escort Rock toilet block, please, and what funding we currently get from Transport for New South Wales, and what are the future opportunities for that facility there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? No. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 18 is business paper items for noting. Could I have a mover, please?
I'll move it.
Moved by Councillor Davidson, seconded by Councillor Trevors. Does anybody wish to call out anything there in the noting? Nothing? All good? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 19 is the matters of urgency. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Durkin, seconded by Councillor Jones. Does anybody have any matters of urgency? Nothing? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 20 is Committee of the Whole section of the meeting. We have nothing, but could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Trevors. We have nothing, so I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. That's our ordinary